the greatest secret of the human mind, a practical framework inspired by Tibetan neuroscience.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the presentation of the greatest secret of human mind. My name is Igor Mosic, and my intention today is to make sure that you get a clear, most up-to-date and profound understanding and presentation of human mind according to Tibetan neuroscience, Tibetan tradition. Because in our everyday life, nothing is so close, yet so unknown to us as our own human mind. In our everyday life, our way of life in modern society is mostly directed to the outer source, outer objects. Our activities are directed to outer objects, outer sources of gratification. Modern society promotes constant activity, constant productivity, and this is the focus of our attention. On another level, we have our deep longing for inner peace, for mental well-being. It's inner longing, which means that our everyday life creates constant energy of conflict between our externally driven lifestyle and our wish to experience inner well-being and emotional stability. And when there is such a conflict, when there is energy on conflict in life, then all the beauty of life is gone. Because there is no inner peace, there is no outer peace, and of course, we cannot be happy. If we do not resolve this conflict within ourselves, our daily existence will continually reinforce what we apparently wish to stop or wish to eliminate. Therefore, is my pleasure today to present the greatest secret of human mind according to Tibetan tradition. Because if we think about it, just like you and me, everybody wants to be happy. And just like you and me, everybody wants to be free from suffering. But we already know it's not so easy to achieve. It's not so easy to reach because it's not a thing that can be acquired or bought. And because it's not a thing, we know that happiness or suffering depend on our activities of body, speech, and mind. And our activities of body and speech depend on the state of our mind or on our inner atmosphere. Therefore, it is wise to deeply understand the mind. And if we want to understand the mind, the idea of understanding the mind is to cultivate the mind for happiness. If we understand the mind, we can familiarize with the causes that will produce and induce happiness. And cultivating the mind for happiness means to make sure that bad or mistaken states of mind not to be generated, and good or unmistaken minds to be generated, both generated and increased. So, what are the bad states of mind? Bad states of mind are all states of mind which, once produced, cause mind to become agitated, tense, to become simply unhappy. Those are the states of mind. Why is this important? Because if we experience this state of mind, then we will, for sure, what will follow are bad or unfavorable results, which are like words. We will use language, and we will do activities with our body, which are also negative, if our state of mind is a bad or mistaken state of mind. Which means this also may cause nervous sweating when we experience bad states of mind, nervous sweating, hard breathing, illness, sleep disorders. Everything comes from the bad state of mind. And it's very likely that bad deeds of body and speech will arise, which will produce direct or indirect hardship for ourselves and others. So all states of mind that produce this kind of causal sequence are assigned as bad. Then we have positive or good or unmistaken states of mind. Those are the states of mind which make the mind calm, relaxed, happy, and open, and it greatly contributes to the well-being, general well-being of ourselves and others. And it is very likely that the positive deeds of body and speech will arise from such a mind. So that is very important. So what is the mind? According to Tibetan neuroscience, mind has a very simple definition. It is clear and knowing. Those are the two main features of the mind: clarity and knowing, or luminous and cognitive. It's luminous and cognitive. Therefore, what does it mean? What does it specifically mean? So those are the two main features of the mind. Clarity and luminosity means that the mind functions as a mirror. Whatever is placed in front of the mirror, it reflects. That's the one feature of the mind. And the other feature of the mind is it can cognize, it can realize an object of observation. That is and further, the mind is shapeless, formless, colorless, and it has a quality of experience. That is according to Tibetan science of mind. Now there is a big problem with it, because since it cannot be seen, we cannot see the mind. It is one of the most neglected things. The needs of the mind and emotions are one most neglected in modern society, modern way of life. Because we care very much about our body, about our possessions, about the house where we live, about the car, about many, many things. But deep needs of our mind and emotions are completely neglected from the kindergarten level to the university level and beyond. Even though, as I already mentioned, our activities of body and speech depend on the state of our mind. Even though it is like that, it is completely neglected through our educational system, even though it is the most precious and most special, most unique feature of our human existence. It's having a mind, having a mental consciousness. So this is the very important question, and I will share with you, we can investigate for ourselves together, what are the qualities? What are the qualities? What are these deep needs of the mind? What are the qualities that are deeply needed, that cultivate the mind, that make him peaceful, that make him, that nurture the mind, that make the inner environment, which is promoting flourishing of the mind, flourishing and intelligence, high intelligence. What are these qualities? We will investigate, and I'll try to share this with you. Before we go into that, it's good to understand that the mind, in this kind of explanation of Tibetan tradition, it includes 5 sense consciousnesses and the mental consciousness. This is mental consciousness. And among those 6 types of minds, the dominant force, the most powerful one, the one that thinks, learns, is the mental consciousness. Those 5 other consciousnesses are sense consciousness. They attend to it. They support the primary mind, the most dominant force. It's easy to understand. Because if we hear harsh words, if somebody insults us, so we suffer. We don't suffer with our ear. We don't suffer with the ear consciousness. We suffer with our mind. Our mind hurts at that moment. So that's very important to understand. It's dominant force that learns, that makes decisions, is mental consciousness. So further, it is because of that it is said, unless you know the greatest secret of human mind, even though you wish for happiness and to shun suffering, you will end up wandering aimlessly. So what is the greatest secret of human mind? What is the greatest secret of human mind, according to Tibetan neuroscience? It is the formula, it is the term that best captures the essence of human mind, of reality, and that is dependent origination. It best captures the essence of the ultimate nature of the mind, of the secret of human mind. It is dependent origination, or in Tibetan, Ten Jung. So, it is said this formula, deeply understanding dependent origination, it's more valuable than having a golden key, the most precious golden key that opens the vault, a safe which is big as this hotel, full of gold, diamonds, emeralds, all the precious things and money and everything inside. Even more precious than that is deeply understanding dependent origination. So what is dependent origination? Dependent means interrelatedness. It means how things come into being through interrelatedness of many causes, conditions, they have parts, and they have name we assign to it. Which means things do not exist independently, solidly, as they appear. What does that mean? That means if we want to look at a flower, if we look at the flower, we look at the flower, and then when we try to look at the flower, we say this is flower. But when we try to find the flower within the elements and the causes and conditions that produce the flower, we cannot find the flower. We cannot find the flowerness in the flower. And since we cannot find the flowerness in the flower, we can say there's no flower, but we cannot deny there is a flower. We can smell it, there is a color of flower, we see the flower. But when we try to find, so when we use the microscope, we should be able to find the flower. But the deeper we go, we cannot find the flower. We cannot find anything. And hence, there is another part of this formula which says origination, which means the basic truth, how things come into being through interrelatedness, to dependent relationships. That is the dependent origination. And that is why we say that all things depend on things, everything depends on things that are different than itself. There is no independently existent thing. So why is that important? Why is this powerful? This is a powerful insight into the nature of reality, into the nature of mind, ultimate nature of mind, as I mentioned before, and the nature of reality itself. Why is this so? The more we go deeper into the understanding of this dependent origination, it becomes very, very important, very valuable. Why? Why is this important? It is important because in our center of our everyday life, in the center of our everyday activity, there is a strong sense of self, I. And when we observe it, when we think about this I and a self as independently existent entity, then it becomes, there becomes a belief that we are solidly existing independent phenomena. When there is a strong grasping at the self as independent phenomena, then what arises simultaneously is the strong barrier between self and others. And when this strong barrier between self and others exists, emotions arise. Then, without the understanding of dependent origination, we will form a strong barrier between self and others. Why is this important for everyday existence? It's extremely important because on that basis, this strong division, strong barrier between self and others, arise emotions, negative emotions, which are the two most dangerous emotions are anger and attachment. Anger or attachment, we become overly attached to those close to us, overly attached to them. We become angry or have aversion to those who seem dangerous, who we find dangerous, or who irritate us. So we form aversion, and for those we don't know, we are completely indifferent. So those are the three types of emotions that arise according to the strong division between self and others. And our negative emotions are based on a strong sense of self, I, which is independently existent, solid, independently existent I. And with simple logical reasoning, we can understand, investigate, we can understand the I, which is independently, solidly existent, does not exist at all. Which means that all our negative emotions are based on our completely wrong conception of I and others as independently existent entities. And we can prove there is no this way of existence of phenomena. That's why that through understanding, the deeper we understand dependent origination, the better it serves us as a tool to diminish the intensity of negative emotions. And that is why it is said it is the more precious, the more precious this understanding, the deeper we understand this, it's more precious than a golden key that opens a vault big as this hotel, full of diamonds, money, and emeralds, and all more precious jewels. Because it liberates us. It liberates us from the concentration camp of negative emotions, which keeps us prisoner. That's very important. And so, investigation of the nature of the mind, it has an intention to utilize our marvelous human intelligence to transform negative emotions and to cultivate positive emotions, to cultivate inner peace and mental well-being. That's very, very useful understanding. So, since the mind also does not have any independent existence, we come to this now. It depends on environment that we create for this mind. Depends on many causes and conditions, and it can be changed. So there is no independent existence of the mind, which means that if mind depends upon negative environment, negative causes and conditions, that will bring this unfavorable results, disharmony, and many unfavorable results, which means that, and stress. And if mind depends on positive conditions, causes and conditions, it brings positive, favorable results. It brings peace, and it prevents, it makes impossible for mental misery to manifest. That's the idea. So therefore, it is useful to understand this process, and this process is in Tibetan tradition practiced in three ways. First is deeply understanding the mind, which is the science of mind. Science of mind is a very, very huge topic in Tibetan tradition, which is divided in three parts. One part is science of mind, other is philosophical tenets, and the third part is the religious practices. So what we are talking about is the science of mind, which is present for whole humanity. To understand how mind functions according to this tradition, it's unbelievably useful. So the more insight we have in dependent origination, the more insight we have, the ability to, for us, it widens the ability, our ability grows to develop sharper intelligence, and also to develop the most powerful potential of our human mind, whose essence is loving kindness and compassion. Because the most powerful feature or the most powerful state of human mind, of human intelligence, is devotion to nonviolence. And therefore, familiarizing with this kind of dependent origination and the states of mind, which are whose essence, this dependent origination, whose essence is loving kindness and compassion, is the way of the most meaningful life, is a cause of most meaningful life. And I would like to say one step further that also familiarizing with this kind of familiarizing with the dependent origination, whose essence is loving compassion or loving kindness, is the best way, is the cause of the best death, best way to die, which is also a very important topic, and I will just touch it briefly, because in a few years ago I had an opportunity to study about it and also to share on Congress, here on Congress Mind and Brain, about a state which is called Tuktam. Tuktam is a state of altered consciousness which is experienced by advanced Tibetan meditators, if you want to take a photo, which are, after they die, they are declared clinically dead, but they remain fresh for days or even weeks after this dying, in the dying process. And while the deceased person is in Tuktam, post-mortem body changes, rigor mortis, does not set in. There is a certain glow to the face, and there is a certain glow and freshness to the body, and warmth in the body, especially in the area of the heart. It's unbelievable phenomenon. And whenever I went to India, in a place where His Holiness Dalai Lama lives, where I studied Tibetan neuroscience, there are, every now and then there is a person who enters the Tuktam, and many scientists especially from America, from famous universities in USA and Russia, have an agreement. His Holiness Dalai Lama gave the permission for them to investigate the people after they are in Tuktam, to make all the measurements on them, and it's a phenomenon which is deeply investigated but cannot be understood. So that is the idea. So in the future, if there is interest, I would like to present more about this, but deeply going into Tuktam is outside the scope of this presentation. So anyway, what I want to share now is that according to these studies, I developed a program which is called Non-Emotional Hygiene. It is a program that is an elegant, practical program for cultivating, for using our intelligence, for cultivating positive states of mind and cultivating mental stability, as opposed to restlessness, stress, and things like that. It is a methodology which includes the studies of the mind, then contemplation, and then mindfulness practices and meditation. And so that's about it. But this non-emotional hygiene is very closely connected to the Mind and Brain Congress, because today is my 10th anniversary of attending this Congress, and I think it's also 10th anniversary. I'm given the opportunity to say something about it. And it is due to great kindness and love that is given to me by Professor Vida de Marin. She is a special godmother of this non-emotional hygiene program. Without her, this program would not exist in the way it exists today. And I'm deeply, deeply grateful I'm able to share this. And she really poured love and inspiration from the first day I started this 10 years ago, and her knowledge and wisdom, especially to understand the medical side of stress relief programs and things like that. And last year we had a celebration of this non-emotional hygiene in the University of Rijeka. It was very beautiful, and we like after we did a program which lasted for 3 months with the group, and then we had a celebration, and we had a special guest who is Professor Vida de Marin, and it was really, really amazing, really beautiful, and because she very much inspired me to do what I do, and because she's a happy teacher. And happy teachers will change the world. She likes so much this calligraphy, so I dedicate this to her. And now I want to share this, and that is from in the next 10 days. It's not official. This is like a special announcement. During next week, it will be publicly live. We have an online non-emotivna hygiene. It's in Croatian language, from Opatija for the flourishing of humanity. Opatija is a small, beautiful town in 1 hour from here. So we have their teachings every week, but now we'll make it available online, and also Grad Opatija supports it, and during next 10 days, we'll be able to everybody who applies will be for free. It's a program with 10 it's on Croatian language, but it's a program with 10 modules, 2 hours each, every week during 10 weeks. And it is a condensed, essential presentation of Tibetan neuroscience it's a stress relief program, basically, but it has essential elements of Tibetan neuroscience within it. So if you are interested, please give me your email, and I will let you know once it publishes next week or the week after. If you are interested, there are many videos on non-emotivna hygiene YouTube channel, and so I will conclude the greatest secret of human mind with the quote from His Holiness Dalai Lama: "The secret of happy life is to stand on the principle, to have holistic vision of interdependency of oneself, others, and our own Mother Earth, thus nurturing loving kindness to all." Thank you very much, and all the best.